Hey, hello everybody, and welcome back to vlog number 7, 8? Vlog number 8, I think. My name's Facecheck, and yeah, it's vlog time. Oh, vlog time, even. Sorry I missed Monday's one, of course. I was busy doing a whole bunch of stuff. I got distracted, actually played some League of Legends for the first time in a while, which was good fun. But yes, I forgot to do my vlog. I actually remembered to do it at about midnight last night, which of course is actually Tuesday, and would ruin the whole Monday scheduling thing. But I'm going to try and get that all sorted as I just adjust everything. As always. Yes, so I'll try and get that sorted. So apologies. Go frickin'. His hair is just not working out today. It's not happy. It's been in the shower. Calm down, buddy. Alright. So, hair problems. Very common. So, speaking of Mondays, I guess one thing I should talk about was that there wasn't a face check last night, and there intentionally wasn't one. I didn't really make any sort of announcement. I just kind of decided. I decided a couple of days ago, but I decided to follow through with it. Yesterday, and I guess I should probably get it out there that Facecheck is going to be fortnightly until further notice. And the reason is because there's just not enough material in 1 week to do the show. It's not that, I mean, part of it is also resources, but I think even if I had the resources and the organization to run the show every week as smoothly as possible to the best of its ability, I don't even think we'd have enough to talk about. Like, depends. Like one of the things is with the way the show works is that I like to bring on lots of different people. Like obviously there's usually me and Smithy hosting and co-hosting, but like other than that, there's just not a whole lot going on. Like I think State of the Game really hit it with having 4 of the same people on all the time, and I just don't know if I can find 4 people every week. Like find 2 other people, I guess, every week that will make the show, that will keep the show interesting and engaging. And I think a lot of that is also to do with what I said before, is that there's just not enough material. So every 2 weeks we're going to try it. I'll try it for indefinitely and see how it works. Hopefully the episodes will just be a bit fuller with a bit more content. I noticed that last week's episode, I had a 2 or 3 week break, which not only let me just organize a little bit better, but I found that there was just so much we could talk about that actually turned into a really good episode. It was actually a lot longer than I wanted it to be. I'm trying to keep them down about 40-45 minutes now. An hour's okay if it's a big episode, but that one went for about an hour and 20 minutes. So I think 2.5-3 weeks break is probably too much, but 2 weeks will hopefully be enough. And it obviously depends. Like if there's a tournament on, there's a lot more to talk about. If things have just happened, I mean, we've gotten away from kind of patronates and stuff like that. We could go back to stuff like that, but I just think like it's basically Australian news and discussion for League of Legends, and that's what I like about the show. But there's just not always enough news and material. So we're gonna try every 2 weeks, and we'll see how that goes. I would like to run it every week, and a lot of it is also to do with, I think, changing the format to a point that's better for the show, to a point that makes it smoother, that just kind of runs a bit better. So because we've tried a lot of different things with how the show works, and I think it's time to look at it after almost 15 episodes, so 14 now, and say what do we like, what didn't we like, and just try and condense it and smooth it out a bit. But there'll be lots of changes to it. The other thing is I obviously don't have as much time as I'd like, and I'm getting less time now, which is good because it means I'm doing things, but it's bad because the show that I created, not just to give back to the community, like there's obviously the primary purpose, and I like that it's there, but it was honestly also just to pad content, because I had so much time and I wanted to do more things, but I have enough casts to do, so I did this. I was like, well, this is cool, this clearly works in other places, let's see if we can replicate the success of this model. And I think to some degree we've done that, but it has a long way to go to being a routine thing that starts on time is a big one that always has. It's just, and the thing with all the organizational stuff, that's me not having enough time personally to organize everything, and I'm looking to involve other people in the process and have, I guess, a small team of people, of admins, a production team, whatever you want to call them, handling not all but more of the work. And those people, I don't know who they are, and that's the thing. So if you're listening to this and you're interested potentially in helping run a weekly or fortnightly online broadcast, then let me know. I'm trying to think how you best contact me. Email me, that's the best way. I'll put my email in the description. But yeah, if you're interested, email me. But I'm not taking anything official at the moment. It's just something I've realized I need if I'm going to run the show in the future, and I just don't have enough time, unfortunately. If I was just doing the show, it would be very easy. And if it was before, like when I had a lighter casting load, it'd be really easy too. But that's not the case, which is great. I'm getting more, doing more casts, I guess I should say, which is definitely the case. I'll talk a lot about Alienware, the Alienware Arena tournament. Actually, what's the official name of the tournament? I should know this. It's a awkward thing is I know the company behind it, not the name of the thing. Alienware. It is. Okay. That's Alienware Arena 2012 Battlegrounds tournament. There we go. So that's the official tournament name according to this post. I'll link the announcement to that tournament in the description. I talked about it a little bit, I think, in previous vlogs, but basically, it's a month-long playoffs that culminates in some sort of final. So it's a month of online. Of an online tournament. This is for both League of Legends and Dota 2, by the way. I think there's also a TF2 competition in there as well. But certainly you'll get your MOBA fix. Absolutely. It's Australia, New Zealand. It's ANZ based, so I think it's even only open to I think it's only open to ANZ, and I believe they're doing a couple more. I think it's anyway. You can get more details, but the important stuff is there is a month-long playoffs in Australia and New Zealand for League of Legends and Dota 2 that culminates in a final. The Dota event is actually going to be a LAN final. I think that's been announced. I really hope it has. Man, I should check things. And then there's going to be a final for both of them, and I believe the Dota final will be a LAN final, and the LoL final is up in the air. But there'll be a final. So whether it's online, whether it's off, there'll be 4 weeks of online play you'll get to watch, and the playoffs will all be. Those will be playoffs, and then they'll have a final. So it's going to be a lot of games. There's like 64 teams at least playing, like a lot of teams. There's so many teams playing in this tournament, and it's actually organized a lot like a CG ladder. It's kind of like a challenge system. So you have to play a minimum of 4 games, but you can play as many as possible for more points. And you basically play, like, if you play up in the ranks, I don't know how they've ranked the ladder, that's something I don't know yet, but information will come to you, don't worry. Before the tournament starts, you'll all have that information, don't worry. And it starts tomorrow. It does, the first play day is supposed to start tomorrow, but I don't know if the players have all been sent what they need yet, but we'll figure it out soon. Regardless, that will be happening, and so there's basically just going to be, you can imagine, there's 64 teams. That's a lot of games. So teams are going to be playing, and you can play as many games as you want in the 4 weeks as well, but you have to play at least 1 a week, basically, in order to try and qualify, and then the top 8 qualify and they play off from there. So it's basically like a month-long open ladder. It's pretty insane, and there's just going to be a ton of games. GameStar is handling the broadcasting officially, which is awesome. So I'll be doing LoL. I might even do some Dota 2, which is pretty crazy. But yeah, so that's happening. We're really excited about the broadcasts, obviously, from GameStar. But there's going to be so many games. Like, I don't expect... Like, apologies to everyone who still likes playing CG Ladder. I love casting CG Ladder games. It breaks up my week really nicely. It's good to get, especially lesser-known teams exposed and stuff like that. And, it's great to go back, watch the cast, watch your game, have fun, watch with your friends, whatever. All that stuff. Really like that. But, I don't think CG Ladder is going to be... Like, there's just going to be... I've already described to you, it's basically a ladder system, but it's condensed into a short period where teams are going to be wanting to play a lot of games. So we're going to be handling a lot of content, but that's good. So you guys can look out for GameStar's coverage of that tournament, and then of course there'll be finals and all that awesome stuff. So yeah, you guys have a lot of MOBA and of course a lot of League of Legends, I guess in my case. Yeah, coming up, like a ton, an absolute ton. Yeah, like a massive amount. So you guys can look forward to that. So that's that tournament. It starts tomorrow. It starts on the 1st of August. It's the 31st of July today. Oh, it's Tuesday. So yeah, you guys can expect that, which should be pretty sweet. So yeah, this is going to basically be a massive month of League of Legends and Dota 2 and TF2. Sorry. Yes, but lots of MOBA happening, and that should all be sweet. Yes. Yes, I guess that's it. So that's that. And then I guess the last thing I want to talk about, I was going to segue it before, but then I realized I had to talk about this as well, so I kind of failed. I guess I'll just open it up. There has been some drama, shall we say, between, again, actually, between 2 teams, Reborn and Carnage. I don't I'm not going to go into the details, but basically, I mean, if you want to find them, you guys can find them. It's just go to where you would normally find info for Oslo. So I guess Cybergamer, I think Reborn HQ, their forums posted something. I don't know if it hit Lola yet, but you should check. Maybe you should know, but it's definitely around. And people wanted me to talk about it yesterday on Facecheck. I said I wasn't running it, and I'm also not interested in covering that stuff. Like, I don't mind a good bit of drama every now and then, but what's actually happening is just silliness. And it's not like, when, for example, when Voidboy left Dig and Dust to play on CLG and Saint left for Curse, that and what's one more swap too? It was, oh man, I can't remember. There was one more swap. Anyway, that very famous kind of shifting of US teams right before an MLG. It was massive. It was big news in NALOL, and I'm sure a lot of you guys follow that scene, and you'll know what I'm talking about. We can speculate all we want, and it's like, oh, what's going on? Who left the team? Wow, OMG. And there's a bit of drama there. I don't mind that, but when it gets to the point where it's just like, people got really silly on the forums about that, and it was just like, oh, Hotshot's really bad, he's going to be horrible, and oh, Saint's like, he's crazy, he I don't know, he did stuff and left teams, and I don't know, Voidboy's usurping his team, whatever, just really just strange, bizarre, and just angry statements. And so, a bit of drama's good, news is good, you can ham it up a bit, that's fine, but at the end of the day, unless something. Oh, anyway, no, I'll come back. But basically, whatever. It was just team changes, and it happens all the time in professional sports and esports. It's just a fact of the scene. You need to stay competitive. You want the best players. Teams will change to fit, especially in a team sport. You will change your team to fit what's best for the team, because you might have the 5 best players in the world playing each of their roles in League of Legends, but that doesn't mean you'll have the best team, because if they can't play all together, it's not going to make a difference. So there's all that, pretty much. And I understand that teams like keeping their internal business personal, and private. I think that's good. And so people speculating and being dramatic over stuff like that just doesn't. It's silly. It is just silly. So coming back, basically there was a whole bunch of drama with people disconnecting from the internet and couldn't reconnect and all this other stuff. I guess I'll briefly outline the situation as I've heard it, because I actually wasn't there when the games were being casted. And actually, big shout out to the casters that did handle it, because that would not have been fun. Have a pause. I believe the pause ran out. It's a 30-minute timer on that one, so that would not have been exciting. Apologies. So, Reborn vs Carnage was the finals of the Team Supremacy tournament. It was a one-day tournament running on Saturday. So last Saturday, 3 days ago now. Finals was Carnage vs Reborn. Reborn win the first game. Play really well. The second game, Reborn are playing really well again. I didn't see it, so like I get the feeling that it was Reborn were winning, but they don't know I don't know how much they were winning by. I don't have a gold value, for example. And from the sounds of the thing, the game sounded like it had gone very, very late, like very, very late. So, and of course, whenever a game goes late, gold differences absolutely shrink in importance. Like, you can be behind a number of gold. It just doesn't matter when the death times are that long, and when everyone's going to naturally have farm anyway. Like, you'll have enough gold by that point for most of your key items, or if not all of them, where the excess gold just kind of runs out, and the value of gold diminishes by a huge amount. So, and I could be wrong, but from what I've understood of what I've heard of the situation, it seemed like Reborn were winning, but it wasn't insanely far ahead, and it was late. The game was late. So Reborn push in, and they're looking to initiate. They've won some fights. They're looking for their last team fight of the game. And from the sounds of things, basically there was some disconnects, and they lost the team fight that they should have won. And I say that in air quotes because you don't actually know if you're going to perfectly team fight in any situation. But basically, Reborn in a really good spot. They disconnected. The players disconnected for 30 minutes, and the decision was made to play on. And Reborn lost. Obviously, they don't have 2 people. They're down 2 people because I think 2 or 3 of them disconnected, and they were not going to win in 2v5, 3v5 situation. And they were winning that game. So, and that's the situation. Now, basically, Reborn got really mad, and I understand that it's frustrating. But the thing that doesn't sit well with me is that players and organizations were just slandering each other, just horribly saying horrible things. Like I wasn't even there when the event was happening, and just the stories I've told, or just the posts I've seen after the event, have been horrible. So I can't imagine what people were saying to each other in the midst of the moment. It's like what are you doing? And I actually had a long conversation with Jack Attack about it. And Jack's, say all you want about Jack Guy, he's a perfectly nice guy. He him and all of Carnage are a great team, and they have so much potential, and I've always said this about them. Their biggest problem is that they've played solo queue for so long, and they're in a very different mentality to where a team needs to be in order to succeed as a team. That's why. And they know, they absolutely know that their players are a bit too edgy, or they're a bit too angry, or they rage a bit too much, they troll a bit too much. And I think a lot of that's just from solo queue, you know. There's a lot of that in solo queue. It's a fairly toxic environment, in my opinion. And, people on the internet, that just happens. But when you're part of an organization, you need to represent them professionally. You want to be part of a strong team and represent the Oz/LOL scene. You've got to step it up. And they know that. They absolutely know that. And I think anyone who says that they don't is ignorant of how important this team knows their organization is to them, and how important it is for them to stay with them and compete, and how much they do want to be a good team and not just a bunch of good solo queue players that played well together in one tournament or two tournaments, let's say. But all that aside, basically what came out from my talks is two things I realized are really important when you're talking about fair competition. And there's absolutely no value in esports at all if the competition isn't fair. And that's pretty obvious. Like, you can't have a competitive gaming if the competition part isn't there. And competition is basically, I guess, for a loose definition, it's competing at the highest levels. So it's engaging in play at the highest level with another team, with the overall goal to win fairly. Like, no soccer game would be good if players just constantly cheated all the time and they were never penalized at all. If they would punch players as they walked on the pitch, and the ref just chose to ignore it and didn't send players off the field. Rules are in place for a reason. That's to enforce fair competition. Because if you win an unfair competition, you didn't actually win anything. You just cheated your way through what would otherwise be a decent competition. So this idea of fairness is really important, and this is something that isn't prevalent enough in esports. We've got our rule sets, players, whole competitive games that were never intended to be competitive have grown into competitive giants. Like StarCraft 1, I think, is a perfect example, but there are other games too that have done quite well that were never intended to be competitive, simply because the community that loved playing those games and wanted to compete in them made their own rule set of what they deemed to be fair, just so they could compete, because there was no other competition for that game. Super Smash Bros. Actually, the whole Super Smash Bros. Series is something that actually really makes sense to me when you're talking about games that weren't intended to be competitive that turned out to be. Yeah, and that's happened a lot. And now, of course, games are getting built to be esports, which is making support for the games and stuff a whole lot easier, and really changing the way they're approached. But all that aside, esports won't be anything unless the competition is fair. And two things are required for this to happen. One is that, obviously, three. The rules have to be fair. That's pretty obvious, and the players and the tournament organizers need to agree on a rule set that sits well for both of them, the way they think the way they feel is fair for the game. And so that's one thing. And hopefully, in all of esports, the rule set will be streamlined across, for each individual game, so that if anyone is ever looking to run a tournament, you can literally look up a global rule set and you'll go from there. So rules need to be in place, and in order for rules to mean anything, two things need to happen, and these were the two important things that I guess I wanted to talk about in regards to being fair in esports, and that's the admins need to be fair and need to be as objective as possible in their decision making, and the players need to be fair to each other. And for me, most importantly, in the Australian League of Legends scene, that includes sportsmanship. And there is no shortage of horrible displays of sportsmanship in Australian League of Legends, and it's fucking disgusting. And I mean that with all the swearing behind it. It's horrible. It is absolutely horrible, and I want you all to stop. So, looking back at the Reborn Carnage situation with those two things in mind, the admins made a really hard decision, because rewarding any team a game, which Reborn feel they're entitled to, and I completely understand why they are, the game wasn't over yet, so there's no reason for the admins to do that, but they were put in a tough spot, and I think in the end they just said, you know what, they've had the time, the pause function's there, it's an online tournament, the internet's cut out, we're sorry, but play on. And that sucks. But it's best of 3. That ties the series 1-1. Carnage offered the regame, and Reborn did want to take it. And that's fine too. They decided to forfeit their last game. Clearly very angry, clearly very frustrated. And I guess the question in the situation is it on Carnage to... Is fair competition in this situation one where Carnage should concede their game to Reborn? And I'm going to be perfectly blunt with you. The answer is no. The game was not definitively over. Unless you can somehow prove to me that in the exact moments right before the DC, that Reborn were 100% going to win that game, there's no way. There's no way you can see the game. That's the other side of competition that I think is hard, is that it is cutthroat because everybody wants to win. You just have to win in a fair way. And I think winning the way Carnage did in an online tournament where it's your internet that is the problem. And yes, we know LANs have had internet problems. We apologize and we're trying to improve that. But if it's your internet in an online tournament that's the problem, then you disconnecting for 30 minutes sucks. It fucking sucks. It's so bad. It's so unlucky. And I feel really bad for the Reborn players that DC'd. But that's not the other team's fault. You know, it's not their fault. And so, yeah, I think in that sense, there's absolutely nothing wrong with... Like, the admins had a really hard decision to make, but I think they made the right one, and I think they made the fairest one, and there's no onus at all on Carnage to concede that game. Offering the regame, I think, was sporting, and I applaud them for that. What they could have done is offered a rematch in that game, but I don't know if either team wants to play another potential 2 games after already playing 2. And honestly, that's more of an admin decision than anything else. And it would be sporting of Carnage to do so, but... I say sporting. It would be sporting of Carnage to do so, but it's not necessary, and I don't think it's unfair not to. I just think it's an unfortunate situation, and it's happened in the past. Like everyone's like, oh, he's such a good guy, but come on, seriously, like how many teams would actually give up a game in a finals of a tournament? Like they haven't done anything wrong. Like it's not like they disconnected their internet. That's ridiculous. And if anyone thinks that, by the way, real dumb. Yeah, so there's just this vlog's went so long, by the way, but I'm gonna wrap it up. I've got a few more things to say. I'm just trying to piece my thoughts together. But this is going long for a reason, because this is really important, and you all need to hear this. So yeah, I mean, nothing they did was unsporting, unless you think that Carnage were intentionally cheating. And I don't think there's ever a time where Carnage have intentionally cheated. It's looked bad, and they certainly haven't displayed themselves in the best way. But unless you honestly think that someone is cheating and breaking the rules of a fair competition, there is no reason for you to go on and try and vindicate a team. It's just ridiculous. And this is the other point. So it's important for the admins to be as objective and to be as fair as possible as they can in their decision making. And the onus is on players to be sporting. And regardless of what you think happened in those series of events, whether you think Carnage are a bunch of scumbags and Reborn are like, you know, just the nicest guys ever, and they're all great guys. Certainly the ones I've met from both teams have been lovely. When I've personally talked to them and LANs and stuff like that. But given that there's no evidence of intentional cheating or intentionally. Even intentionally doing anything that would be considered unsporting, to be perfectly honest with you. Nothing in any of the games I've watched from any teams have intentionally had anything happen that was just rude. Just plain rude. Or cheating. You know, which is the case there. But the onus is on the players to be sporting in their competitions. And what happened from what the Sorry, the behavior from both teams was atrocious from what I heard. Just atrocious. When I hear stories of management and organizations BMing people and slandering other teams, that's stupid. That's so stupid. Alright? I understand you're frustrated and you're angry, but you look so dumb. You look so dumb if all you're known for as players is playing well and then getting mad when something unlucky happens. Because that's all internet disconnect is. It's horribly unlucky. And no one's going to pretend otherwise. No one's going to not feel sorry for you, you know. You play a poker game and you have the best hand, you get sucked out on. It sucks. You know, you didn't do anything wrong, but it sucks and you still lost. And it's just, that's luck. And we try and reduce aspects of luck in esports, but in an online tournament with Australian internet to a North American server, and again, that notoriously has connection problems, piece it all together, it's no one's fault. It just happens to suck. But that doesn't, you have no right, you have absolutely no right to tear into players with the language and with the ferocity that you do. So stop it. I'm really sick of it. And this is actually me putting my foot down. And kind of just goes to you too, because you know that you can present yourselves horribly, and there's no way that Australian esports is ever going to grow to the level that it needs to in order to become as big as I'm sure all the rest of you want it to as well. If every single finals of a tournament, every single game of a tournament, there's just people BMing each other. Like, the reason I disabled chat on my stream is because players are just horrible to each other. And if tournament organizers and sponsors saw what you guys wrote to each other, they'd probably seriously considering pulling sponsorships, because those are the teams that are representing them, and they're acting the way they are. You know, results are one thing, but if you want to be a professional team, act professionally. And I guess that's the final message here for me to the players is, please be professional. And you know what you're doing wrong, so stop doing it. Because we're never going to get anywhere if all we're going to do is fight with each other and just bitch and moan and be horrible. Just, unless you seriously think there is intention, like, as I say, unless you seriously think someone is intentionally being unsporting or intentionally breaking the rules in a I mean, I say unsporting, I'm talking about people BMing the crap out of each other. Unless if you have a real problem, go to someone with real evidence and deal with it then. But don't just bitch and moan at people because, oh, you think they suck or they're rude or they're scumbagging you or whatever. And if a team's crap to you, just take it. Just be like, alright, just ignore them. Ignore all. Turn off all chat, you know. You don't have to listen to the other team. Just play the game. Because ultimately, what shows more than any words you could say are the results you put out in any tournament. And just be the better team. Be the better players and just don't say anything. So I guess that's my final rant. I don't know how long this vlog's gone. I'm guessing 20-30 minutes. But yeah. Sorry to end on a kind of a crappy note there, but it was really important for me to say that. And that's pretty much what I would have said on Facecheck. Just stop being so fucking mean to each other. It's so dumb. And I'm just sick of it. Like, as I said, I wanted to do Facecheck yesterday because the only news was this drama. And the last thing I want to do is have to cover that crap. Like, sure, if it's interesting drama, if it's team changes, you know, I could check it up a little bit. We had Chief Swift on last week, and he was amazing. And that content's not appropriate, but it was funny, and he was okay with it, you know. But if all I'm going to hear for 20 minutes is on Facecheck is teams arguing back and forth about, oh, this people did this and this people did that, like, no, I've heard the story, and there's nothing sinister at work. It's just unfortunate. And there is no onus at all in a competition for a team to concede a game unless they've intentionally cheated. Like, if you can prove to me 100%, 100%, without a shadow of a doubt that Reborn is supposed to win that game, then I'll agree with you, and I'll back for the match win, and I'll back to give Reborn the 2-0 in that tournament. But you can't say to me that Reborn were guaranteed 100% to win that game, and that's not what happened. And yes, it's because of some unfortunate circumstances, but hey, I mean, I personally would have liked to see the last game rescheduled, but apparently Reborn didn't want to do that, so that's fine. Anyway, that's it. I'm gonna end the rant. /end rant. I'm done for this vlog, guys. Hope it was informative, and yeah, just please stop doing what you're doing, guys. It's horrible.